Hello and welcome to Soups and Sabers. My name is Jordan. With me today, talking Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is Chris. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. A little bit of spring break action. I actually have had some time to relax. I don't know what to do with myself. It's weird. But thankfully, this was a good week to get 2 episodes of Daredevil. So I'm super excited to talk about that.
Yeah, we had 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, episodes 2 and 3, titled Shoot the Moon and the Scales and the Sword. We'll obviously start with episode 2, Shoot the Moon, but I guess before we dive into it, just your general thoughts on episodes 2 and 3 and the thought of getting 2 episodes this week.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes, and the second episode of the season was very much like the first episode, where stuff happened. It was exciting. There was some good action, but it, for the most part, was kind of like getting you there. And then the third episode had, I think, an incredible payoff. The momentum started to build. The action was pretty darn incredible. And the conflict between, you know, Fisk in New York really took a new level.
Mhm.
And I think I would have been disappointed if I didn't get that third episode because that's what I have been waiting for. So obviously the second episode was good. I just think the third episode was like peak TV. It was as good as you're gonna get TV, and I really think what we're getting in this show moving forward is kind of gonna just keep escalating. That's the sense I'm getting.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's what sounds like what a lot of the people who've seen the show have kind of said is that slow start. I'm guessing they meant the first 2 episodes. And then kind of like just balls to the wall action and craziness in the back half of the season or the later half of the season, episodes 3 through 8, I guess. Um yeah, so I'm guessing part of it was they wanted to get done. If we're talking about why 2 this week and not 2 last week, my thought would be is they wanted, last year they did 2 to start off, right? And it was in a bit of a different situation. We had rewrites, like episode 1 was like completely new pilot to kind of kick off the show, and then episode 2 was kind of like what episode 1 would have been before the revamp, and they had to kind of like, kind of fix some stuff up with there, and it kind of felt a little chaotic. So I'm guessing last year they're like, we'll start with 2, and then maybe we can kind of get into what we feel is the better stuff. I would say it's probably similar this season where they, like we saw a running theme of people saying of slow start. I'm wondering if having 1 episode last week, you're like, okay, it's the premiere. People will give us some leeway because it's a premiere. And then the next episode, if you had another week of kind of slowness, maybe people will start getting a little frustrated. So they say, you know what, let's just kick it off with 2 and 3. So that way, as soon as two's done, and to me, they kind of felt like a two-parter anyway. I mean, all
Yeah,
the
they
show
did.
is connected anyway, but when you have it end with Karen capturing the anti-vigilante task force officer, and then it start with the interrogation of him, it felt very like, all right, we're continuing. We got more Angela in episode 2, and then we got more for in episode 3, right? Like it like feels like a, I know this is a serialized show, so you're gonna get a continued through line anyway, but it really felt like these two really went together well.
Mhm.
But my thought is they probably wanted to have, if you have a 2 episode premiere, you're probably expecting something big to happen in a 2 episode premiere compared to having an 1 episode premiere, 2 episodes, and then being able to get to that fight scene at the end of this episode and be like, all right, we're going forward now. And knowing the end on that hype moment where they say, we have to get to that scene because I feel like people are going to want that scene,
Yeah.
obviously it's been like the most praised part of this first 3 episodes that we've seen so far. So, um
And the tensions ratcheted up to get there. Like I feel like we're playing too much, saying it's like slow start is almost a little disingenuous because it's like slower. But like we were ratcheting it up. Like you would start to see the anti-vigilante task force get more of a social reaction, to get more anger from the people. And then with Angela the White Tigers stuff, there was stuff really building, and when they got there, it was like an explosion.
yeah, I mean, I really liked episode 2 as well, and part of it is, like, in my mind, I watched, episode 2, took a short break, and then watched episode 3, but still by the end of the night, when we're talking in the group chat and we're getting that, you know, uh, Ron's thoughts after he caught up and everything, I had to kinda think to myself, like, "Okay, which one was episode 2?" Like, obviously, I know which one episode 3 is, right? Because it has that fight scene and it's where it kinda end on. But, like, some of the stuff just kinda bled over, and while I was making my notes, some of the stuff I was adding into my notes that Wikipedia didn't have listed, they do, like, a short summary, and I kind of have that recall, what it is, and I'm typing my notes, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, they didn't mention Heather with the Muse mask. Is that episode 2 or 3?" I don't actually know. But, so I wrote it somewhere in my notes so we can talk about it when we get
So
there.
that literally starts episode 3, because she's like hanging something on the wall and like she
Oh,
freaks
okay, okay.
out, and then she like opens the drawer, and then there's the Muse mask. And I couldn't get my head wrapped around why she would keep the Muse mask, and I thought it was maybe to have power over it. But I'm like, this is getting a little creepy with this character. Like I'm starting to wonder if there's something else going on with her, if this is an origin to her almost villain story, in the sense of she's just on team bad person now. Like that's
Mhm.
I don't love that angle of the story, but I think it blending together speaks to how much it felt like a one and part two,
Yeah, yeah.
because the story beats were, because like it ends, episode 2 ends basically with them being
Rating
found out,
Josie's.
yeah, out at
Mhm.
Josie's, and then it goes right into the next episode with the task force member, and Daredevil's like, okay, he's telling the truth. But like I loved how he figured out he was telling the truth because he's Daredevil and he can hear his heartbeat and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like he played that very, very straight and bad cop, and I thought that was really cool.
Oh, yeah, the best part is when he knows, like, when they're yelling at him, like, why are you lying to us?" And then he's like, "He's telling the truth."
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, I did enjoy that. I was like, it was a good bit of acting by Charlie Cox. Like it felt natural and conversational almost. It's
mhm, mhm.
like I don't know. I really like the chemistry that Matt and Karen have in this series. And I, even though there's some friction there with like the way of thinking and the way they're going to attack their battle, I really enjoy their chemistry. Like I think they are in a really good place in terms of bouncing off each other, and it makes the show better.
Yeah, so I guess let's start with, the second episode, which was directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, written by Dario Scardapane. And they had it kind of starts off with Cherry getting carried out to the ambulance, and kind of seeing him get taken care of. We get
Mhm.
Karen and Matt hiding out at Josie's, which I guess is where they've been this whole time. I didn't realize that. Um,
It makes sense.
they're like in
I
a
don't think
hole in the
we,
wall
right.
upstairs or something.
Yeah, it's a little too Diary of Anne Frank for me, but like it does make sense. Like that would be a logical place for them to be. They have an ally there with Josie's bar, so uh, I don't mind it. I can't believe they didn't look there first. To be honest with you, but
Yeah, that's kind of like I guess my biggest thing for it is like maybe you could have picked somewhere else.
like it would have actually made more sense to start at Frank's old place and then maybe go to Josie's when you get discovered there.
This is like me
But
hiding out at like the top of Raising Cane's after the apocalypse and people looking for me or something.
yeah, it's very like the most
The
obvious
restaurant
place.
he goes to all the time, that's where he was.
No way. Yeah, exactly. The place where he's a regular. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess they're technically through like they're probably in the building next door, I think. Like there's a bit of like a hole in the wall that
Hmm.
you kind of get through it. So it's not like a, they're not like I guess literally hiding up there, but they're close enough. They're close enough in that Angie Kim, the detective, comes to Josie's. At this point, they don't know who's knocking on the door, so they're hiding. And Angie's just talking loud enough to say, "If there's any friends of Cherry, just want to let him know that he's fine."
Yeah,
What we also get too later, as we just kind of maybe follow the Cherry plot line. I'm thinking this is still in episode 2, right? When
it is. Yeah,
the Anti-Vigilante Task Force comes to, I guess, talk to him, rough him up. I don't know, right? And they're all his buddy retired cops and stuff are there, and they are sticking up for him and blocking them from getting to him. I liked seeing that. And
yeah,
then when they come back,
absolutely.
he's gone. They snuck him out of there.
Hmm. I thought that was actually the most realistic part of the show, where you'd have your old cop buddies there protecting you, and there would be a divide between the anti-vigilante task force and the police, and it's actually kind of reflective of what's happening in real life, where
Hmm.
law enforcement is getting frustrated with ICE and vice versa, and it's like, you know, there one of these sides has protocols and ways to do things, and the other side is just like, let us do whatever we want. And it's very interesting that law enforcement is very much hey, there's ways to do this thing, and ICE is just not. So I again, the reflection of real life is eerily just a thin line in this show.
A thin blue line.
Yeah,
Uh,
if you will.
but I think that is something that is true. Is that a lot of times people think of, while they are all the anti-vigilante task force are cops that are corrupt, that are signed on. So they were at one point cops in these precincts and stuff. But I think, uh, kind of widening it out a bit, there are, obviously other departments that have rivalries with other law enforcement, right? Like the FBI and CIA could like not get along, right? The FBI and like the local cops hate when the feds come in and steal their cases, right?
Hmm.
So like there is that bit, but in this case, it's more of like Cherry's retired, all these other guys are retired. They're probably ashamed of what seeing like these young gun corrupt cops that they've probably always had to deal with as corrupt cops, right?
Yeah,
In the system. It's kind of like a Gotham type thing, right, where you're always
it
dealing with
really feels like
the
it.
corrupt
Yeah.
cops, and you have like the good cops that are like the Jim Gordons, right, that are um, trying to clean it up and stuff. And that's kind of what I got the vibe of these, Cherry's
Well,
friends.
when Daredevil was like hanging above the apartments, I was like, that is the most Batman Daredevil shot you can
Hmm.
get. Like,
Hmm.
I was like, the imagery was just like straight Batman. And I feel like Daredevil crosses that. Like, to me, he is my Marvel Batman face.
Batman, yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, it was very, I was like, if you just change the image just slightly, that's a Batman shot.
So Fisk gets the idea because somebody, I think Buck or somebody, says that they should try to get, uh, you know, Matt Murdock in trouble or something, right? And he gets the idea instead of, you know, oh, he's a hero, right, to the eyes of the public because of him saving my life, and I can use this by going in TV and saying, let's find Matt Murdock. He's missing, and he saved my life, and I want to give him a big hero's welcome back here. So everybody keep your eyes out for him. While also, of course, having everybody keep their eyes out for Daredevil, which means that no matter what persona Matt is living in, he is a wanted man for either a good reason that, the public will think they're doing him
Both
a
sides are
favor.
in on it. Yeah.
The public will think they're doing Matt a favor by bringing him in because he's a hero.
Yes, this was very smart. This was a very smart way to do it.
Yeah, I really like that move by Kingpin here, and it it gives a little bit more stakes for Matt too, because he's been kind of the one that's been going out with the hoodie and the glasses and trying to meet up with people, and it's like, this news breaks while he's like out there, and he's like, yeah, in a bit of a period where he needs to slip away, and know that he needs to maybe be a little bit more careful.
Well,
Um,
Karen's going to have to do um, more of the work.
recon.
Recon, that's the word I was looking for. Exactly. More of the recon work, I think. And I feel like Karen has much less risk on her in general. So, like, I feel like a lot of the times we're seeing Daredevil go out, we probably should have been seeing Karen go out.
Mm. But I also like that this doesn't really stop Matt from doing what he needs to do, in the sense of he suits up as Daredevil
Yep.
that night, and when Josie's is getting attacked, he goes and does what he needs to do to fight them off. So
It just turns up the heat. It doesn't really change the situation. It's
right,
like you're
right.
still in a frying pan, you know?
So we get reintroduced here to Angela and her aunt Soledad, um, who are, of course, they are still mourning Hector's death, her uncle. They go into a bodega and they see a kid stealing liquor. And now it's kind of alluded to that this is a bodega they go to a
Hmm.
lot. I don't remember if this is the same one from season one, if they showed this at all, with Hector saving somebody. Then
I
they
don't
have,
know. I don't think it
um,
looks like the same one. Uh, it actually looks a little smaller, but it like could be supposed to be.
but they go in there, and
Mhm.
the owner of the bodega, she says hi to him as if, like, this is a place they go to a lot. But he kind of ignores them and just kind of, like, he's focused on these kids in the back. And these kids know Angela. One of the kids,
Right.
says something to her, and uh they see them stealing this, like, liquor bottle, wine bottle, I don't know what it was. And Angela and her aunt try to get them to just put it back. Let's
Hmm.
move on. And the bodega owner starts pulling out his gun.
It was a little escalated. Like it was like,
Yeah.
dude, these are kids. Like everyone in this whole situation, it was like, dude, these are kids. But
Yeah. What I think this is supposed to show, right, is like there is this um okay, it's kind of like, do you remember you watched The Boys recently, didn't you finish
yeah,
that? There's
yeah,
like a cold open where there is a guy who gets progressively more um like like brainwashed by the propaganda on
yeah.
he sees on TV and stuff. And you see
Hmm.
him go from like a normal guy to like withdrawn and stuff. And I feel like this is what that's kind of supposed to show in a tighter time frame here, where you know Angela's aunt goes in there and is trying to like have a conversation with the owner that she apparently knows, and he just kind of is a little bit more withdrawn, and is in this time of what is going on with the vigilantes and the propaganda Fisk is pushing, it is making this guy on edge. And then on top of that, you have the Anti-Vigilante Task Force coming in and probably kidnapping people like they do here, and you have kids stealing from him. So he's probably a little bit under the gun here of, oh my god, like a lot's going on in this city, I got to protect myself, and it's just going a little too overboard on that. But her aunt tries to stop a cop from beating the kid, saying it's just kids, just holds his arm back, and he's like, that's assaulting an officer, and arrests her.
Yeah.
And luckily they didn't
It's
arrest
yeah.
Angela.
Luckily, and story wise, it'd be really hard if they did. But like, I I thought the scene was so tragic but so realistic in the same way, and it's just like it. There's there one of the things with the anti-vigilante task force we're seeing is they're just very power hungry, power trippy people. They don't
Mhm.
seem to really uh like have like this de-escalation mindset. They always escalate, and I this whole scene was just a byproduct of what you said. Like they're getting a little ramped up, a little ratcheted up, and on edge. And like I really think this scene was just like a culmination of everything that's going on in the city.
Yeah, so Angela flees and goes to one of the only people she knows that can help her, which is Kirsten McDuffie. She goes to their office and asks for help, and she finds that they still have the box there that has the amulet in it for her uncle, the White Tiger, and she will take this amulet.
Probably should have returned it to her already anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure what the
Maybe there's a
purpose of holding it.
liability thing, like let's not give this vigilante costume to a young girl.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah,
We then get BB is revealed to be the Fisk imposter. Did we speculate her or did we? I know I think I name
I
dropped
think we
Angela,
danced
but I
around it.
thought
We
we.
we had danced around it. We had said a bunch of different things. I think it was almost too on the nose for it to be her, so we thought it might be somebody else.
Which to be fair, if it is her, which it is,
Yeah,
good that they got it out of the. They didn't drag that on. They got it done in the second episode. I
yeah,
feel like it would have been. I saw some people underwhelmed by it. I feel like it would have been more underwhelming if we got to like episode 7 and they revealed
and it's
that
just
it's
the most
BB.
obvious
Yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But Daniel, your favorite character, invites BB to dinner and warns her about leaks coming from inside the administration and trying to warn her that like, hey, let's stop spreading some information here because like my ass is on the line. That means your ass is on the line, and she doesn't really agree to anything here.
Yeah, this is an interesting scene because like I feel like he was kind of between two mindsets. He's wanted to impress BB, but he also wanted to stop her from doing what
Yeah, he
it
made her
was.
dinner.
Yeah, like he like decked out like the dinner. And he's like, "Hey, by the way, if you are doing this, please stop it. Like it's hurting me. Like I could get in trouble here." And like
Well,
I
especially
think
we'll find out like some of
right.
the stuff is coming from his computer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he has to delete some of the footage because he thinks that he figures out it's probably her, but, um, the main thing that they find out, I think, in episode 3 is that a lot of the clips that we've seen as well when Kingpin is making his rants is footage that nobody else outside of this, like, area would have, right? So, they knew it was coming from somebody within the inside, and I think he's narrowed it down to her, and it seems like maybe Buck had narrowed it down to somebody tied to Daniel.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to end very poorly for Daniel. And
He's very good at talking with. I
he
really like
is.
when Fisk is asking him about this, and he says, like, "Is there
Well, I
anybody
thought
in
it
this
might have been over
building?
there.
Is there
Yeah,
anybody in this building you might want to protect?" And he says, "Yeah, you." I was like,
good
"What a great
answer.
answer, Daniel! What a great answer!"
Yeah, Fisk was like, good answer. I was like,
Yeah.
okay. You're like, all right, he's gonna live to be an idiot another day. I did like the scene where he's like telling Buck Cashman to eat the hot dog,
Yeah.
and then he's like, and Cashman is like, so are you really gonna get this plan to get the lieutenant governor to tell you stuff? He's like, I just got you to eat street meat. Who knows what's in that thing? I thought
Right.
that was to be fair to a character I don't give much credit to. That was his best scene.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good
That
scene
was
with
the most compelling. I wouldn't say he's growing on me, and I'm getting tired of characters saying
him.
that. But that was his most impressive scene. I was like, okay, there's obviously a layer beyond the like annoying layer, that
Yeah.
you see. There's something there to him. There's a little more complexity to him. It's like, okay, I'll give you that credit. I also really liked his office. They were talking
Mhm.
about it in the Daredevil Board Again podcast, where they like were talking to the production designer, and he's like, I wanted him to have an office that had a pillar like awkwardly in there, and like so
Mm.
you could see it. And they have the pillar, so they change where the pillar is to get it in every camera shot to like make sure like he doesn't have that good of an office, but he
Right,
treats
right.
it like it's like this great office. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is very good that they've been doing so far this season is uh one thing I read before the season started is that we got a lot of focus in the first 2 or 3 episodes of the new cast members from season 1, right? Like the people that are not the Netflix people. And I think so far they've done a good job at making it feel, like I said last week, like a best of both worlds where we're
Hmm.
getting the Netflix continuation, but we're also getting stuff continuing from season 1. And they're giving more depth to characters like Buck, like Daniel. We're
Well,
getting a
even
little
like
bit more
Heather with the
Kirsten.
Muse mask.
Heather with the Muse mask is starting to get a little bit more depth, and she has a nice scene with Buck as well, right? So we're starting to get some of these newer characters get screen time that gives them um uh more depth than what they were able to give them in season 1 with all of the mess that we know behind the scenes was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked that scene where Cashman is like, and we have the best seats in the house. There's the king and the queen, and they're talking to the mayor. I was like, this
Yeah,
is this is
she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the knight."
high opinion of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Does this mean he's gonna be is he Bruce Wayne? Is that his real name?
I mean, Buck Cashman matches Malone. It's not that big of a stretch.
But yeah, it ends with the attack on Josie's. Daredevil goes in and kicks some ass. Karen kidnaps an officer. Did you
Hmm.
recognize this guy at all?
No, I did not.
All right, somebody pointed this out to me, and I had to go back and look. His name is Alan Saunders, the character, and he is at the end of last season the partner of the guy who kills an unarmed kid with the beanie and puts the beanie over his face and says he was a mass vigilante. So
Oh,
he's in that scene. So he saw
so
that and is disillusioned due to seeing what his fellow task members are doing to frame it
that was
as
a turning
different
point.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they've continued that, which I totally forgot about that scene until somebody brought it up.
Yeah,
And
if you did not tell me, I would have never put that together.
yeah, so I like that they bring this guy back. They give him a little bit more reason to, he saw something that was clearly wrong, and he is looking for Karen and Daredevil to give them information. And this is where, they're interrogating him. Matt says he's telling the truth, and he gives them his key card to like the Red Hook uh center where they're keeping all of the prisoners. But yeah, so a nice little tie and call back to last season. Karen is going to leak some information to the governor of New York. The contract for the harbor thing or whatever that was back from last season. The governor meets with Fisk and threatens that she can revoke the free port status of this due to the issue with the Northern Star. While all of this is going on, Kingpin is still working on removing all of the guns from the Northern Star, and it looks like they're putting like diapers and other stuff like that on there instead. And the men are going to stay the night on the ship that'll come back around here. at the end of the episode. But like you said, at the beginning of this episode, we see Heather with the Muse mask, and I want to ask you. You mentioned villain origin story. Is she going to be like the second Muse? Is she going to don this mask at some point?
So here's the thing: I can't figure this one out because she seems to have a complete disdain for all vigilantes and all
Yeah.
masked people, but she keeps the mask, and then it's like, why would she keep the mask? And it's just, I think it's a psychological thing to have power over it at this point, and that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, that's what the way it looked
Right.
is she was nervous. She puts it out there and she's doing like exposure therapy. And she like
Exactly.
times how long she is gonna stare at it, and then she puts it away
That's
to get
exactly
over her
what I
fear.
think. Yeah. I don't actually think she's gonna become Muse, but like they've teased like just enough that you're like, is she? So
Yeah, I could see
she's
this going either way. I
yeah.
think maybe once she gets over her fear, she if she keeps doing this exposure therapy, I could see it going kind of the wrong way where
Well, she puts it on and then she like
she starts
yeah.
like liking it, and
And isn't that like blood on the mask? Like that's gross.
yeah, I guess I don't know if it's real blood or if that's something I
Because
guess it is
I
because
always
that's what
took
he
it as
paints
it's
with,
real
right?
blood. Yeah.
So I mean,
He
like
paints,
that's
why would
yeah,
his mask not be with real blood, but his paint would be
that's true.
blood? So
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. So like that mask is just incredibly gross. Like you would think it would smell really badly too.
It might, it might.
Like
But
you're thinking made of blood and human sweat inside of it. That cannot smell good.
I could definitely see it as like she kind of starts walking this I don't know, like thin line of I'm exposing myself to it, but now I'm also like maybe getting in his head a bit as a therapist
Yeah.
and she starts going
I think
down
you
that
were on
path
it
or
with the
something.
exposure therapy. Like I think the
Yeah.
exposure therapy is exactly right what it is. But like I don't think we're going down that road, but like it is it's just enough to make you wonder. And it she says to McDuffie that, you haven't been through what I've been through. It didn't happen to you. And it's like I I kind of want to be like, girl, you're not special. Like her partner is freaking missing. Her coworker is literally missing. You should know that because he was your boyfriend. Like it's like she's gone through some stuff here too.
Mhm.
It's unfair. Like it's because she was held at gunpoint by Muse. All of a sudden, that's not like that supersedes all trauma. I think that's unfair.
Yeah, I mean I would also say I don't think she's super ethical as it is, where she's now
Mhm.
taking a job from one of her patients, which was Fisk, right during their couples therapy. So she's kind of like,
Yeah,
it, it's I
there's
don't know
power
what
dynamics
those
that are weird there,
yeah I don't know what
and
the ethics are in that, but like
yeah.
it doesn't feel right to be like, oh, I'm gonna work for you after you stop being my patient, um
And they
and
probably shouldn't have stopped being her patient because they probably still needed help from her. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, I guess I don't even know if she's really even practicing other than what she's doing for Fisk.
I mean, it is probably eating up her time because Vanessa was like, "You were very instrumental in keeping Duquesne off the streets," and it's like, is this like her main focus now? It probably is.
Yeah, I feel like she's part of the cabinet, I guess, right? I don't know. It feels like
Yeah,
it. Kind of feels like it.
it does.
But you mentioned that scene that she had with Kirsten, and I think it's interesting because Kirsten's the one that set her up with Matt, right? Like,
Yeah,
so they were at one point good enough friends to have this, but now there's like this, obvious wall between the two of them. Because Kirsten is uh, could be seen as taking Matt's side by still practicing law with him and going after Fisk and defending these people that
I think
she's
Fisk is the
prosecuting.
divider. Fisk is the
Yeah,
divider because that's the
but I think also
ideological
Matt
difference.
is part of that dividing, where it's kind of sometimes the downside of introducing your friends to people.
Yeah.
Your friends' other friends, if you want them to be in a relationship, is good. If something goes wrong, like she's kind of stuck in the middle here. And, you know, we're kind of seeing her. I saw some people complain about her using the word vigilante for Muse and stuff because he wasn't an actual vigilante, but they're using Fisk's words from his propaganda.
Right.
This
Well,
is
we
what
brought that up
dominates.
last week.
Yeah, this is what dominates the media and stuff right now, especially in New York during this is they're going to use what the mayor is saying, especially if she buys into it, which she seemingly is buying into this rhetoric. So, I think it's just more of that than like the technical term of what a vigilante is. This guy is just a mass murderer, serial killer.
My
But
question to you is something going to happen to the governor now that she's fishing around with the
oh,
court?
I would not doubt that Fisk takes her out at some point.
Like, oh, I don't know. It must have been some sort of horrible accident. I have nothing to do with
She
it.
was actually on the Northern Star when it blew up. That's crazy. What was
No
she doing
way.
there? She was investigating the cause of all of this.
Yeah. um, yeah, we're gonna get to the end of episode 3. That one was a doozy. But yeah, I think the governor's in trouble.
Yeah, yeah. Especially once you're threatening Fisk um, with taking away his advantage of this dock that he just built and spent money on.
I
Um,
I love how he plays it off like dubious cargo, dubious cargo. I don't know what you're talking about, and you're like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you. She's like, I don't know where you're getting your information. I like. She goes, that's right, you don't, which was like kind of a dig at his like ability to keep his ducks in a row.
Yeah. And then we have during all of this, Kirsten is working on her defense of Jack DeCane, the AKA Swordsman.
Mm-hmm. And I
And
love the swordsman guy so much in this series.
yeah, I mean he's I've said this before in the group chat, and I probably said it last week, but I did not expect to see him this season, and seeing him
Mm-hmm.
and getting as much time as he's getting
Yeah.
after I thought he did really well in Hawkeye, and then they've just never touched his character again. I feel lucky that we're getting uh, more of him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially when you really work into when you think about the Hawkeye aspect of it, and I'll have to go back and watch it, I think, but like he was married to Kate Bishop's mom, who was working for Fisk. So there is already that level of familiarity with them, and he
Right.
brings it up in the trial what happened last season of him.
You mean tribunal?
Yeah, of him trying to, the Fisk was offering him, if you give me some money for this, I'll, get you a cut type thing. And if not, I'm gonna arrest you, pretty much, is kind of what that was alluding to. I don't know. I probably have to revisit Hawkeye at some point and just kind of try to pick up more stuff
Wait
with
till
the
around Christmas time, and then it'll be a perfect excuse for a rewatch anyway.
yeah, yeah. But with this, you know, we kind of get stuff that we know is going to come back around. It just seemed like with the birds cooing and the water dripping and stuff, it felt like, okay, this is important. And it's important because when Daredevil visits her later, she's going to give him information on, like, because she's blindfolded,
Right.
on what she heard and what she saw, anything she noticed during her walk to meet Jack Duquesne, which obviously is perfect for Daredevil because he's blind. And those, he listens for those sounds and he knows he's going the right way for him to get in there. And it's like the key card, I think, only worked until midnight or something. So they were on a time clock, I think, of like when the passwords change or when they
Mm-hmm.
do something like that. So
I was
he needed to
confused
get there
about
tonight.
that because when the officer gives them the card. He says, and the password's changed at midnight. I was thinking there was a password attached, like as a secondary thing, and then the card
Mm-hmm.
just got you into the door, and then you needed a password or something. So I was a little confused about that, and I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be confused about that, but I was.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe they just meant like it's
The
scanning.
code, yeah, that's what it seems like in the show. Yeah.
Yeah. But later on during this trial, we see, Kirsten asking the judges for more time. She hasn't had time. She barely had time to meet him. She needs more time to set a defense. And they're pretty much like, by this, law, the anti-vigilante law that Fisk has put in, we're kind of really on a time constraint here, and we're just gonna have to do this. And she shows that there's no real proof that he's the swordsman. It is kind of funny to know because like we know he's the swordsman, so they're not wrong. But you know, he didn't really do anything to get arrested during this time. Um,
Yeah.
and one thing I really loved with this is when they start reading the verdict and the camera starts tilting with like the scales of justice just being like out of balance here as you're showing, like the camera is showing us at this time. This is weighted towards one side here because Fisk has his finger on the scale here.
Uh-huh.
And then he has like a great quote about how this is all for the entertainment, like the farce of entertainment and all this, uh, that it's not fair type thing that he's saying as he's going. But he knows this whole time, like he's screwed, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't ever have any hope. Kirsten McDuffie keeps trying to talk him up, and he's like, I think I'm done here.
I feel like it would have been a better job for McDuffie just to be like, let's make this as painless as possible because it's not going to be good. But because he wasn't like delusional about it, it didn't hurt him.
Yeah. And then we get Daredevil going to free the people. During this time, we also have Angela show up as White Tiger to help Karen. But Daredevil goes in, frees Jack Duquesne and a few other people. They all start freeing each other. And look, Daredevil knows that the people are coming for them, so he gets the steel like barbed wire thing. What is that?
That's what it is. It's barbed wire.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. And he, breaks it up.
Rhubar, I guess.
Rhubar, there you go. It gives it to Jack to use as a sword. And we
Just
get
that little flare, like it's like I am the swordsman.
yes.
Yeah.
And we get
I like
this
it.
great one shot that I don't think is actually one shot. I think there's some cuts in here probably. But it's edited as a one shot where we get to see Daredevil teaming up with the swordsman. And I'm so happy Tony Dalton is getting to actually do something with the swordsman. Even when they showed him in season 1, it was like they put the little hood on him and he would like do this and like he's out there, but like getting to actually see him like use a sword type thing and be kind of like trading off signature moves with Matt, where like we get the camera swirling around while Matt takes somebody out, then it goes and cuts to like moves over to Jack who's beating up some task force, and then you get back to Matt doing something.
Yeah.
And it was just like this really good trade-off back and forth between the two of them. But probably the best fight scene in Born Again, right? Like
Yeah.
any season,
So
any
far.
episode.
Other than maybe the first thing where, Poindexter gets thrown off the roof. Other than maybe that. But that was one of the best scenes, and I think when it cuts to the credits and you realize that he just killed them all on the ship, it really felt like the weight of everything And Matt had to make a choice there. Like Matt had to save people rather than get evidence to take Fisk down, and that's maybe um, gonna add the fuel to the fire of what's the right way to bring Fisk down.
Yeah, because they drive off. Swordsman drives the transport that Karen got, and then Karen and Daredevil leave in her car. And Kingpin knows what's going on. He says, "Let's blow the ship up." Right? And of course, this was their plan was always to kill those people that were cleaning it. We talked about that last week. But
Mm-hmm.
with them doing that, after they had already clarified they got all of the guns off. What that leads to is what in my mind, Fisk says like this is perfect. So I'm thinking he's gonna blame that the vigilantes took out the ship and pin all these deaths on them. Uh to try to win public favor back
Oh,
even
it's
more
the
so
obvious play.
against them.
And now there's blood on their hands, and there's enough angry families, and it's
Yeah.
definitely going to it's definitely going to play that way. And I think the sad part about this is by getting a win against Fisk, you actually make your fight against Fisk harder because you just
Mhm.
give him more fuel in the fight. Like this is a major loss for Fisk. He lost all his prisoners, and he has a lot of liability now. But at the same time, Fisk has public opinion to sway, and he has something he can really use. It's a you lose when you win.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think Matt kind of underestimated Fisk here because I don't think he thought he'd blow up his own people.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that that wasn't really on his mind anyway. That was the original. That's what Mr. Charles was saying, right? Like
Yeah, and
we're gonna.
he wasn't really in these two episodes either, which was interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm assuming he'll come back next week when they're trying to clean up this stuff, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Or he'd be like, "Hey, I told you that was a good idea."
yeah, because now you can pin these deaths on them. I think Matt was thinking like Fisk was in the first episode where he says loyal people are hard to come by. Like I'm not gonna just blow them up, but
You could never know that he was going to do that. There's just no
right,
way
right,
of no. Like even if you think Fisk would do it, like there's no way to predict that that's the step he would take. Like
yeah.
I mean, it's an extreme measure.
So that leaves us with episode 4 coming up next week. One thing we didn't touch on is the I'm blanking now, but I had it. It was there was definitely a character or scene that we did not bring up that I wanted to go back to. But anyway, um I'll see if I remember it as we go. I should have wrote
Was
down.
it something to do with the White Tiger stuff, or do we go over that enough?
No, I think we went over that enough. I'm trying to recall what it would have been.
Was it the scene where Daredevil is like all mad at Karen for wanting to kill people?
No, but she does shoot somebody,
Yeah,
which
and Matt is not happy about it.
no. No, he's not.
But at the same time, what the heck was she supposed to do?
Right, right. I mean, and
Like,
that's
if you're a Matt Murdock, can you really be mad at Karen for using a gun in that situation? Last time I checked, she has no superpowers.
right, right. That's kind of like and they have that argument, like you said earlier on, where she's kind of
Mhm.
talking about how maybe Frank's method does work more than Matt's method. He's like, what,
There's a,
murder?
yeah. I feel like there's a time and a place for Frank's method, and when you're dealing with heartless people who will just continue to do wrong, I, I like Karen's like, let's not let this get worse. Let's just end this. And
I remember what it was now. We didn't talk
okay.
the Vanessa Poindexter stuff.
Oh yeah, it's because I think we talked in the group chat. This is the thing that we were liking the least amount. Um,
I mean, I still really like the style of. I really like the
yeah,
blues still
yeah.
that they've been doing, and
There's a symbolism there, absolutely, and it is. Even in the dream, when she has a dream sequence, the coloring holds
Yeah,
true.
because she sees like the
Uh,
blue rose, but then
and then
it's a red
then it
rose
turns into a red rose after
in
when
the
she
real
wakes
life.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a well done scene, and the elevator scene where Bullseye takes them out, and then you just see the. Well, I
The
did see one
doors
guy.
keep close on them. I was
Yeah,
laughing at that.
yeah, I did see one guy on Twitter go. So wait a second. Is like the ability to change the color around him just a superpower he has?
It is, yeah.
I mean, it was like if you don't take it seriously, it's funny too. But
Mhm, mhm.
but yeah, I feel like that is a thread that is going to become more relevant later on. I feel like they're dragging it out though.
Yeah, well, I think this is gonna be like the
The
kinda like
C
the
story.
main. Yeah, no, I think this will be like the main thing at a certain point. We've already had him try to kill Fisk last year, which then Matt jumped in front of like we talked about. We had him save Matt from the AVTF, right? The
Hmm.
Anti-Vigilante Task Force. He then leaves. He doesn't actually help with Cherry, he doesn't do anything, he just bolts. He leaves the knife. Him and Karen are kind of talking about like what is the purpose of this? Um and now he's taking out other people. We're not really sure, but he is watching. Like he at that dinner, right? He's watching
Hmm.
Heather and Vanessa talk at the party. So maybe if he realized he couldn't kill Fisk, he goes after Vanessa to
Yeah,
really hurt Fisk.
it's interesting though that Vanessa seems to be the only one who is worried about him or thinking about it, because you would think Wilson Fisk would know that the connection with the Foggy thing. Like you would at this point, like it's
Right, right.
interesting. It's interesting that Vanessa's the only one who's like really worried about Bullseye.
Yeah, I guess she's worried that she made a deal with him and now he's coming to close it down. Um yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this is all going to play out over the course of the next. We got like 5 left here.
One thing that's very obvious is this anti-vigilante thing really extends to anybody that Fisk doesn't like or disagrees with. It's very
Yeah.
much like the pocket dimension in Superman, where it's like,
Oh yeah, I
uh,
got my ex-girlfriends in there.
yeah, exactly. Anyone who has any slight with Lex Luthor is in there, so
This
it's
guy
very
sold a hot dog
similar.
to Superman.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, and I think Fisk is going to be a little overreaching, and he's got a lot of liability now. There's a lot of people who know some stuff that just got out.
Yeah, so I mean, episode 4 is next. It's called Gloves Off. So I assume that means that I think that could be for Matt and for. Oh, you know what? It could be. It could be. Fisk has been gearing up for a fight. He actually killed his.
Yeah,
He probably killed his trainer here.
yeah. Well,
We
and
didn't talk
I
about that.
actually,
The
yeah.
trainer keeps like saying, "Hey, get up, fatty." I don't know what he's saying, but he's like, "You're taking too long to rest." You're just
He pushed the right button, and he
into
got
the glass
rest
mirror.
into the glass mirror completely. Like I actually think Fisk needed a moment like that in this series because he has been mayor more than kingpin, and we needed to remember his massive strength. We needed him to become the imposing villain a little bit to remind you why he's such a problem.
Well, you need
Because
one of these every season, right? Like last season, he ripped the guy's like crushed the guy's skull.
well, yeah, and then he had the his file on the desk
Yes.
for
So I guess this is what I don't know. Did Sheila not know anything about this stuff?
see, I think Sheila doesn't know that he killed him, but
Yeah,
Sheila knows something fishy was going on,
something
and
fisky.
Sheila something fisky. I love the pun, um, but I feel like she just confirmed to Fisk that she's a little snoop, and
Yeah,
it was like a
yeah. You
trap,
gotta watch out for her.
and,
Yeah.
and, and she's not a yes man for him. and that is a problem for Fisk.
I think it's funny Fisk being like, "Oh, he was such a good guy. So sad he's
Oh,
gone."
so sad. He's gone. I felt the very pulp of his brain.
Right. Yeah, she I'm guessing she didn't know that. I thought maybe some of these
Yeah.
people would have figured that out. I don't know. But um I guess it's she because we he did in front of all the anti-vigilante task force people. So I didn't know if like that got around, but I'm guessing they are all so devoted that that has not spread out yet. I guess one way look, they've defeated Fisk a couple times already if we count the original show.
Mm-hmm.
How do you bring him down? They said that like this season's the end of the Mayor Fisk arc. Does somebody have video of him ripping that guy's head? Like, because that's one way that
My
I think you could
guess,
bring him down.
my guess is he's going to. I I think not to compare it to Superman again, but I think there's going to be something where a news story breaks, there's evidence of things, and public opinion changes so drastically. He gets impeached as mayor, and where while he might not be down and dead or anything, he is not in the position of power at the end of the series, and he loses the port, and so basically his empire is kind of on the run.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I mean, they're not going to kill him. So here's
no,
the
they're
thing.
not gonna
Yeah,
kill him. But like, he's probably gonna lose Vanessa, maybe,
Vanessa.
and then if you have somebody outing him for killing the commissioner, you can start going down that path. But they already had the FBI in season
Right,
3 bring
right.
him down, and that's been undone for we're not really sure how because it's a time gap. It could have been during the blip. It could have been whatever. We don't really know how he's here, but he's just always going to be a presence that I think when they bring him down again, we're gonna have to wonder like, will it stick this time?
Yeah.
Because it never does for Fisk. He's got money. He's got
Well,
ways out.
he's Daredevil's Joker. Like, what do you want them to
Yeah,
do? It's you have to have Fisk involved, and we talked about it last week. When Fisk is not involved in Daredevil stories, it tends to have a detrimental effect on the stakes of things. Like, you feel more like interested when Fisk is in. Like the Flash TV show was a real guilty of this, where anytime things got boring, okay, we need Thawne.
yeah,
You know, Fisk is that effect for the show. And I don't know. They're going to have a real hard time next season. If it is true that Fisk isn't the main bad guy, they're going to have a real hard time not going back to that well.
yeah. But I look forward to a different villain as well, if
I do
possible.
too.
Because
I think it's needed,
yeah,
especially if this goes on. Let's say it goes on 4 or 5 seasons. You're definitely going to
we
need
can't keep doing the same thing
right.
over and over again. So,
I feel like you. This is us getting our we want the next Netflix show vibe back, and then we're gonna go on with the series as more of a blend of the two shows.
mhm, mhm.
But we had to do the Fisk thing first because that's what made the first show so successful, seasons 1 and 3.
Anything else about these 2 episodes that we didn't talk about? I guess real quick, episode 3 was written by Heather Belson and directed by Solvan Slick Name?
So
So
that 5 times fast.
yeah, I'm not sure what they've done in the past. If I click there, uh, oh, it looks like maybe directed episodes of The Blacklist, Power, Snowfall.
Okay.
Also a rapper, writer, and actor.
A rapper, writer, and actor. I like the musicality of that phrasing. It was almost like he wrote it himself as the rapper.
Yeah, so that's I really like the way this one was directed, episode 3. So he directs episode 4 as well. So we'll see more of that style. Um, but I think that's probably it, right?
Yeah, I think we hit it. Like
Touched on every character.
yeah, I think that the big questions for me are what's going on with Heather and the Muse mask. Uh, what's the fallout from the ship and uh, the ship blowing up, and Karen and Matt, are they going to be okay? So those are the,
Yeah, I was maybe a little underwhelmed that they started having that argument again because I'm like, does this mean that they're gonna break them up then?
well, like it'd be really dumb if they did the whole breakup thing, considering they're both on the run together. Like that, like
Yeah,
it would be very detrimental to both of them from like just a tactical
we're
standpoint.
just roommates with benefits right now, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I told you last week I don't want the will they won't they thing. I just want them to like, all
Yeah, I
right,
just
this is
kind of felt
kind of
like
the
that
end
was
game of the
coming up
character.
again in this one when they were like
Right.
arguing about their methods. I was like, oh,
They're very
they're not
different
gonna.
people though.
Yeah,
Like they're very different people. And I think Karen is a little more realistic than Matt. Like Matt to me sometimes is just like head in the clouds, very idealistic. Like, come on, man.
yeah. All right. Well, if that's it for Daredevil Born Again season 2, episodes 2 and 3. Later, we're doing double duty this week because of the Supergirl trailer. So that episode will be coming into the feeds as well. So make sure you check that out at Soups and Sabres on all of our social media if you want to give us a follow or contact us. Thank you all for watching and listening along, and we'll catch you next time when we talk episode 4.